The Cleveland Browns still have a lot to figure out when it comes to their quarterback situation. So, how will that affect their 2025 NFL draft? My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we've got another Cleveland Browns 3-round mock draft for you coming up here in a second. But before we do that, let's do all the YouTube things. Subscribe, like, leave a comment. Let us know what you want to see the Browns do in this upcoming draft, and tackle that bell to get notified when new videos are coming out. And Ryan, let's pull up the slide deck here. So we are in the camp that they are, if the Browns do go quarterback, it won't be in the first round here. I don't believe that they are going to go with Shedeur Sanders. It just, leave a comment down below. I'm getting a sense, Ryan, I feel like you're getting a sense also too, that the league is just souring on Shedeur Sanders being a
Yeah.
top 5 pick. And so will he be a top 10 pick, top 15, first round pick? There's still a lot of questions kind of up in the air. And here, though, obviously, Myles Garrett teased potentially the being traded, and then they Browns like, hey, here's a bag of cash, and he's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll stay. I think they get him a running mate. Go with Abdul Carter. I really like this addition. I imagine this is going to be an amazing tandem here. And I'm even going to like to a player that they add a little bit later on to that defensive line coming up here. A little bit of foreshadowing. But Ryan, want to throw it over to you. What do you think of Abdul Carter, what he brings to this Browns defense, and his overall potential ceiling as well?
Yeah, and maybe really quick, I want to touch on Shedeur because I do think like this is a potential landing spot. There have been a couple mocks that have had Cam Ward and Shedeur go 1-2, but I think the consensus around the league is that there is now a clear hierarchy in this
Sure.
quarterback class. It is Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders is the clear second, and then you have kind of the Jackson Darts, Tyler Shucks, and the rest. So I think that is just the case there. Here with Abdul Carter, I mean, explosive edge rusher, impact player, and he still has a ton of room to grow just because he's only been playing edge for one full season. He was a middle linebacker, and then he transitioned to the outside linebacker, edge rusher type role. And I think you put him in that defense, and man, that Browns defense is looking really solid. You have Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome. You have hopefully JOK can come back and be healthy, and then you have Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter, and you just have impact players at all three levels. So I do think like they could go in a lot of different directions. Travis Hunter is another really interesting option if they want to go add the explosive playmaker to the team, but I think Abdul Carter makes a lot of sense here. For the Cleveland Browns, and the only other option I could really see besides Travis Hunter would be Shedeur. I feel like some of the others are a little bit redundant. I guess maybe Mason Graham and Tet like are options, but I just don't think that they would take those guys over Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter.
Yeah, I'm with you there. You want to talk about the just hierarchy. It does just seem like Ted McMillan and Mason Graham, I think, could have amazing NFL careers, but if we're looking at prospect talent level as of right now, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter have separated themselves as like the best non QB players in
Yeah.
this draft. And so it's going to be interesting what Cleveland does. It does seem like even the teams following them have we can kind of have some more insight on the routes that they're going to go based on their free agency moves. But the Browns still is kind of a big wild card, and you make some good points. So I think another key area that the Browns need to address is that running back room, and I really like what Omarion Hampton would bring to this Browns just skill position player room, especially with Nick Chubb moving on and hitting free agency as well. And I will say, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I know in this mock we didn't do any trades, and he fell to 33. I do think Amari Hampton has a real possibility to go in the low 20s, potentially even top 20. I think just seeing his value rise and what he would bring to the table.
Yeah, no, I mean, you go watch what he does with the football in his hands. He bounces off contact really well. I remember watching a rep, I forget who it was against, but they're in a goal line situation. They're in like the low red zone. So probably like the 6 or 7 yard line. And his right guard falls down. He hurdles the right guard, takes on contact in the air, and then lands and pushes the linebacker into the end zone. Like it's just he does some freaky stuff with the football in his hands. He can catch out of the backfield. Okay. He's not like an elite receiving back, but yeah, he's a complete running back. I think he's a really solid Nick Chubb replacement. And if you can get him going downhill, and run him kind of like a Nick Chubb, I think that's where he's going to do his best work. And he can really punish guys. He has the home run speed as well. And so this is just a really good pick. If he's here at 33, that's tremendous value. If they do want him in real life, they probably will have to make a move up to go get him. But fortunately, in this version of this mock draft, he falls down here 233. But if he's not here, I could see them going with like a Travion Henderson or a Quinshon Judkins. Either of those Ohio State running backs are really solid and will probably go in this range. If they don't get Abdul Carter, they could go with like a Jalen Walker or a Michael Williams. Any of those Georgia defenders will do pretty good, I think. And then also Donovan Jackson, if they want to address this offensive line, Josh Connerly went right after this. So if they want to continue to address that offensive line and bolster that up for whatever quarterback that they do is under center, I think that would be smart for them as well.
Yeah, this running back class is going to be really interesting. I feel like there's a clear separation between Ashon Genty and then everybody else. And then same thing as well, too, with Omarion. Hampton is number 2, then everybody else as well. But so then after Omarion, though, there's a lot of guys that are just really good. I know we have Trayvon Henderson taking a couple picks later, but as you said, if a team really likes Quinshon Judkins or Caleb Johnson or Dylan Sampson, they could easily take them at 39 also as well. So it's going to be interesting how the running backs fall in this class and how everything else shapes up at that position. So moving on now to the Browns' 3rd pick. They have 4 picks in the top 100 here. And so this is a guy, if you've been following this channel a lot, I am an Indiana Hoosier fan also. I watched a lot of CJ West this year, and I'm a big fan of CJ West. It's been great seeing him rise up draft boards. And the Browns get an amazing player here to start the 3rd round. And as you already got Abdul Carter, then you're gonna have Myles Garrett on one side. You're gonna have CJ West here, who is just a run stuffing machine. He was one of the main reasons why this Indiana defense was so good last year. I know if you go look at that Indiana Notre Dame playoff game, everybody's going to remember the Jeremiah Love 99-yard touchdown run. He got 10 yards, I think, outside of that run. I think he only ended the game with like 108 or 109 rushing yards. A lot of that then, too, is because of the power that CJ West brings to this defense. I think he would be an amazing addition and complement to the edge rushers that they have on the outside.
Yeah, and you talked about him mostly as a edge rusher, or not edge rusher, a run stuffer.
Yeah.
But I think too his pass rush moves and what he was able to show down at the Shrine Bowl, and just if you go watch some of the tape on some more of the true pass rushing downs that he was on the field for, he actually has a pretty decent set of interior pass rush moves, and I think his violence and physicality could give some interior offensive linemen some issues. So this is a big riser, I think, for both of us. I think this is probably like maybe a little below his ceiling. I think his ceiling is like very back end of the second. And so I think getting him here in the 3rd is kind of right where he's going to go. If they address like defensive tackle, like let's say for some reason they take Mason Graham 2 overall, they could get an Anthony Belton here and maybe go away from the defensive tackle here. Ty Felton, another explosive playmaker, and Cam Scatabo is another one that could be another potential running back option if they decide to wait on that 2nd pick. So right now, like this Browns team, I think it's doing a pretty good job of kind of bolstering up some of its weaknesses and really developing some strengths. They really lost last year, I think, on the margins. And so if they can go and get a quarterback that can just kind of run Kevin Stefanski's system, I think that's going to do well for them. And that's exactly what I think they do with this next pick. And I'm not saying Quinn Ewers is going to come in and be the starter from day one, but he ran a pretty complicated college offense down there at Texas under Steve Sarkisian. I think he could come in and be in competition for being the starting quarterback there day one if they're able to snag him here at 94. One of the things that I think is really underrated about Quinn Ewers is just his overall arm strength. He is only about 200 pounds, and so there's not a lot of starters at that level that are at the NFL level that are that weight, but he has enough arm strength to really drive the football, and he's really accurate with the football and is not afraid to push the ball down the field. So if he can be kept in a clean pocket, I really think that that Quinn Ewers could find success at the NFL level.
Yeah, this does seem like a good spot here just to address that quarterback position. I like Quinn Ewers. We've all seen him play a lot over the past couple of years. If they want to go a different route, I think Kyle McCord would be very interesting, the former Ohio State guy. I think he's kind of that next guy. Tyler Shuck, as well as another guy who has a potentially seen him make some throws. Jackson Dart was already taken off the board here, and I believe Jalen Milroe was still available in this mock also, so maybe that's the route that they end up going. I'm not as high on like the Will Howards or the Riley Leonards, or even I know I talked highly of one Indiana player. I'll talk poorly about another Indiana player, but like even Curtis Rourke, I think those guys benefited a lot from the college system that they were in and the players that were around them. And they will get drafted and will be practice squad guys or maybe even some like emergency quarterbacks. But I think as their careers, that's about as high as they can go. But to your point, Quinn Ewers, he does have the tools, I think, in the right situation to be at minimum just a solid backup quarterback, but with the potential to maybe be a starting quarterback that can help a team make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what the Browns would end up doing with him here, or if there is a quarterback. But I do believe that's going to be a position that they address here pretty early on to see if they can find a diamond in the rough, so to say, and see if
Yeah.
they can develop him.
Well, I do think, and like I know he draws a lot of comparisons because he's like the latest late round quarterback to find success. But like I think you go look at Brock Purdy and what he's been able to do with the 49ers. I feel like Kevin Stefanski in that offensive system wants somebody to come in and do something similar. And Quinn Ewers definitely has a better arm than Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy might be a slightly better athlete. But like I think kind of going forward and maybe starting to build that foundation here with Quinn Ewers, you do have an option, I think, with a guy that has the potential to develop and be at an average to above average NFL starter, I think. So
Yeah, well, and also too a big advantage. He's been the quarterback at Texas for the past 3 or 4 years now. So like he's been in the limelight. So
yeah,
he's used to the stage. He's used to being kind of on that national spotlight as well. Not saying that uh, Kyle McCord hasn't or Tyler Shuck hasn't, but it's just he definitely has gotten a lot more of those big game experience. I
yeah,
would say so. Browns, I think, are a very interesting spot. I think any position is on the table. I think one area, if there's something that we could maybe address a little bit more, would be that skill position player. I know we got Omarion and Hampton, but didn't really address the receiver position as well. They have a bunch of day 3 picks. And so I think that's going to be something that
yeah,
they will go after. But with where they're at and kind of how our board shaped up, I think it's too early for a receiver with their first overall pick. I mean, maybe Ted McMillan, but I think there's better guys that are there. It's maybe a little bit too early for some of the second round guys. And Omar and Hampton, I think value is just too much that you could pass up on. Then when you got to your third overall, your third round pick, your first one where CJ West is there, a lot of the top second round guys were off the board already. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Browns board shakes up and how if some guys fall, because I think that could be an area maybe we could have addressed a little bit more, but I felt like we would have been reaching at each pick,
yeah.
or we're hoping to have like one of those guys fall.
Yeah, I also think too, like they're not in a bad spot with their skill position players. Elijah Moore was a free agent and hasn't been re-signed, or I don't think he signed anywhere else at the recording of this video. But I do think like Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, David Njoku, like they're not in a bad spot with their receiving group. They're just also not maybe in like the greatest spot with their receiving room.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying is like what value could they go and get, and
Yeah,
so, but and that's where it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate the draft. So they have that extra third round pick. Maybe they trade up to go get
yeah,
Amari and Hampton. Maybe get a little bit more value overall. Maybe they trade up to go get a guy. So we'll have to wait and see. But
yeah.
well, we'd love to hear everybody's thoughts.
Yeah, no, let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of this Cleveland Browns 3-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And that we'll see you guys next time.